All right, let's dive into the world of Rod Stewart. We've got his biography right here, ready to go. And I'm really curious, to go beyond just the hits and really get a sense of what's made him such an enduring figure in music. It's got to be more than just, a catchy tune.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his journey is really fascinating. It's a mix of raw talent, resilience, and a real knack for connecting with audiences, across generations.
Yeah. I mean, the book kicks off with his childhood, and I think a lot of people might be surprised to learn that football was actually his first love. Like, he dreamed of going pro.
And it's so interesting how those early passions can kind of shape an artist's path.
Right.
I mean, that energy, that drive he had on the football field, it probably translated into his stage presence later on. You know what I mean?
For sure. And speaking of his path, it wasn't exactly a straight shot, this stardom. He taught himself guitar, harmonica, drew inspiration from, American rock and roll, even British skiffle music, which, if you don't know, it's this really cool blend of jazz, folk, and blues. So imagine, right? Young Rod Stewart honing his craft out on the streets of London, busking for anyone who'd listen.
Oh, wow.
Talk about humble beginnings, huh?
Yeah, but that period of busking, I think, was crucial. It forced him to connect with audiences directly, develop that stage presence, build confidence. It's like an open mic night every day.
Yeah.
You're refining your craft under pressure.
Absolutely. So here's where things get really interesting. In 1967, he joins the Jeff Beck Group. And his raspy vocals paired with, Beck's innovative guitar work, it created this explosive sound. You can hear the blues, psychedelia, but they really pushed the boundaries of rock. I mean, albums like Truth and Beck-Ola became like blueprints for other artists.
They really did. Those albums were game changers. They brought this raw energy, experimental edge to blues rock. And Rod's voice, that gritty texture, the emotional depth, it cut through the music.
Wow.
It became their signature sound.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything else at the time.
And think about the context, right? This is the late 60s, a time of huge cultural upheaval, artistic experimentation, and his voice with that raw, almost defiant quality, it seemed to capture the spirit of the era.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, his voice had this gritty authenticity that resonated with audiences who were tired of, the polished, studio-perfect sound of some pop music.
Mm-hmm.
It was a voice that spoke to their own anxieties, their own desires for something real.
Yeah, absolutely. He didn't stay with the Jeff Beck Group forever, though. He goes on to join Faces alongside Ronnie Wood, who, of course, would later join the Rolling Stones.
Right.
And they had this incredible chemistry. They blended blues, rock, even elements of folk into their sound. It's interesting, though, how he thrived in these collaborative environments.
Yeah.
Each band brought out these different facets of his musical personality.
It really speaks to his versatility as a musician, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to experiment, try on different musical hats, so to speak.
Yeah.
And each experience just added another layer to his artistry.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of that led to this pivotal moment. 1971, he releases his solo album, Every Picture Tells a Story, and it just explodes. It's like suddenly the whole world is listening. Maggie May becomes this massive hit. And it's, it's a song about a young man's infatuation with an older woman. There's this rawness and honesty to the lyrics that just felt different from the typical love songs of the time.
Yeah. What's fascinating about Maggie May is how it captured that specific cultural moment. There was a shift in societal norms, a growing sense of, liberation. And the song, it reflected that. It was about a young man's experience, but it resonated with women, too, because it spoke to that shared desire for agency, self-discovery. It really captured the spirit of the time.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just a fluke, The hits just kept coming. You Wear It Well, Tonight's the Night.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he had the Midas touch, turning everything he sang into gold. And that voice, that distinctive rasp, became instantly recognizable.
It did, yeah. Let's talk about that voice for a second. I mean, what makes it so unique? I mean, it's not just the rasp, it's how he uses it, right? It's like he's channeling the grit and resilience of his working class background. There's a vulnerability there, a willingness to lay bare his emotions, and that's what makes it so powerful.
It's true. It's like he's inviting you into his world, sharing his joys and his heartbreaks.
Yeah.
You're not just listening to a song, you're experiencing it with him. He doesn't shy away from those rough edges, and I think that's what makes him so relatable.
Exactly. He's not trying to be perfect. He's embracing the flaws, the imperfections, and that's what makes him so human, so real.
Yeah. And that authenticity just shines through in his music, which brings us to the next phase of his career, a phase marked by both incredible highs and some unexpected challenges. But we'll delve into that a little bit later.
Yeah, so we were just talking about his rise to fame, but his journey wasn't always smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
The music scene changed a lot in the 80s. New wave came in, synth pop, rock got a harder edge.
Yeah, and he definitely faced some criticism for his evolving style. Some people felt like, he'd strayed too far from those rock roots, especially with songs like Die, I Think I'm Sexy, which, it was a huge hit, but it also sparked this whole debate about, artistic integrity versus commercial appeal.
Yeah. It's funny how that song became like a lightning rod,
Yeah.
for criticism. On the surface, it's this catchy disco anthem. But underneath, there's like this undercurrent of anxiety about fame and objectification, almost like he's both celebrating and kind of critiquing the excesses of that whole era.
You're right, yeah. There's more depth there than I think people give it credit for. He wasn't just, following trends. He was reflecting them, processing them through his own lens. You know what I mean?
Totally. And think about the context again, the 80s, right? Excess, image over substance. Die, I Think I'm Sexy.
Yeah.
Captures that perfectly. It's like a commentary on the hollowness of fame, even as it embraces the seductive allure of it all.
Right, yeah. And he was walking this tightrope,
Yeah.
between artistic expression and commercial success. And it wasn't always easy. But even when he faced that criticism, he never lost sight of who he was. He kept experimenting, pushing boundaries, and ultimately I think that's what allowed him to kind of navigate those changing tides.
Absolutely. It's a testament to his resilience, right?
Right.
And his refusal to be pigeonholed. He could have easily played it safe, stuck to one sound. But he chose to evolve, take risks, and that kept his music fresh and engaging, I think.
For sure. And it's not just the music itself, it's the way he delivers it. There's this raw energy in his performances, this connection with the audience it's electric.
Yeah.
You can tell he's having a blast on stage, and that energy, it's infectious.
Oh yeah, he's a true showman.
Yeah.
He gets the power of performance.
Yeah.
Connecting with the audience on like a gut level. And he doesn't take himself too seriously. There's that playfulness, a wink and a smile that disarms you. You feel like you're in on the joke.
Exactly. It's like he's inviting you to a party and everyone's welcome. And speaking of parties, his personal life was often as colorful as his music. His relationships, family life often made headlines. The guy has 8 children. That's a big blended family. But he seems to embrace that chaos with open arms.
Yeah. It adds another layer to him, right? He's this rock star, larger than life figure. But he's also a family man, a father who clearly loves his kids. It humanizes him, makes him more relatable,
For sure. He's not just this untouchable icon. He's a real person with real life experiences. And those experiences, the joys, the heartbreaks, they find their way into his music.
Yeah. And that's what makes his music so enduring, so timeless, He's not afraid to be vulnerable, to show his flaws. He sings about love, loss, longing. And those are emotions that resonate with everyone, regardless of age, background,
Absolutely. He's singing about the human experience, and that's something we can all connect with, right? But his journey wasn't without its darker moments, In the early 2000s, he faced a major health scare. He was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and there were concerns that he might even lose his voice.
Oh, wow. That must have been terrifying for him and his fans. His voice is such a core part of who he is. It's hard to imagine Rod Stewart without that rasp.
Right. But he fought back, underwent surgery, and after, a period of vocal rehab, he came back, I think, stronger than ever. It's a testament to his determination, his love for music, and his refusal to let adversity, define him.
It's incredibly inspiring. He could have retired, stepped away, but he chose to keep making music, to keep connecting with fans. He wasn't ready to let go of that passion.
And then he surprised everyone by diving headfirst into the Great American Songbook. He started interpreting these classic jazz and pop standards, and honestly, it was brilliant.
It was such a bold move, and it paid off. It showed like a different side of his vocal abilities, a depth and nuance that maybe some people hadn't recognized before.
Yeah, it introduced him to a whole generation of fans too, right? People who might not have been as familiar with his rock and roll roots. He was constantly reinventing himself, finding new ways to express his artistry.
And it's that constant evolution, that refusal to stand still that's kept him relevant for over 5 decades. He's not content to rest on his laurels. He's always looking for new challenges, new ways to push himself creatively.
He's a true artist in every sense of the word. And speaking of art, let's take a closer look at some of the stories behind those iconic songs when we come back after the break.
Okay, so we're back, And I'm ready to dig into some of the stories behind these iconic songs. I mean, each one is like a little time capsule, right? Capturing a moment, a feeling, an experience. Where should we start?
Well, I mean, you can't talk about Rod Stewart without Maggie May, right? It's practically a rite of passage, you know? That first taste of heartbreak, that bittersweet memory of young love. What's fascinating is that it's actually based on a real encounter.
Wait, really? I always thought it was just a fictional story.
Nope. The Maggie May in the song was reportedly a woman Rod met at a music festival back in 1970. She was older, more experienced, and she left a real impression on him. And the song, it captures that youthful infatuation, the thrill, the pain of a fleeting romance, you know.
It's amazing how a chance encounter can spark such a timeless classic. Makes you wonder how many other hit songs are based on real life experiences, right?
It's a reminder that inspiration can come from anywhere. Speaking of inspiration, let's talk about "Die Ya Think I'm Sexy." It's pure disco energy, but it generated some controversy when it came out.
Oh yeah, some people accused him of selling out, you know, like abandoning his rock roots for a more commercial sound.
Yeah, it's interesting how that song became such a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, on the surface, it's a catchy dance tune, but if you listen closely, it's actually kind of a commentary on fame, you know, on the objectification that often comes with celebrity.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. It's almost like he's both embracing and kind of critiquing that whole image, right? It's more complex than people give it credit for.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just about strutting your stuff on the dance floor. It's about grappling with those anxieties that lurk beneath the surface of success. It's a theme that he revisits throughout his career, you know. That tension between authenticity and the pressures of fame.
It makes you appreciate his willingness to explore those darker, more nuanced themes, even in a song that's seemingly lighthearted.
Right. He's not afraid to be vulnerable, to show those flaws. It's part of what makes him so relatable. Okay. I got to ask you about Sailing. Such a powerful song. This anthem of hope and resilience. What do you think it is about that song that connects with people so deeply?
I think it speaks to that universal human experience of navigating life's challenges, you know, finding strength and purpose amidst uncertainty. And that's something we can all relate to, I think. It's a song that offers comfort, inspiration during those difficult times.
Yeah, you're right. And musically, it's so simple, yet so effective, right? That soaring melody, the heartfelt vocals, it pulls you in. It's a song that stays with you.
Yeah. And I think that's the magic of Rod Stewart's music. He has this ability to connect with listeners on an emotional level, to make you feel like he's singing directly to you, you know?
Absolutely. And that's what makes him such an enduring artist, right? Yeah. His music, it transcends generations. It speaks to something deeper, something universal. He's not just a singer. He's a storyteller. Yeah. And his stories resonate with us because they're out the human experience, you know, in all its messy, beautiful complexity.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Rod Stewart, I think the biggest takeaway is he's an artist who's stayed true to himself while constantly evolving, right? Never afraid to take risks, to explore new territory. He's a testament to the power of authenticity, resilience, and the enduring power of music to connect us all.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, he's a reminder that great music can make you think, make you feel.
Yeah.
And make you want to get up and dance all at the same time, right?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the life and music of Rod Stewart, a true icon whose legacy continues to inspire and entertain.